Hi there makers, it is Jo here and I'm continuing with our dyeing or tie-dyeing series where I'm showing you some of the products from the Rit range over on our website. I've used Dye More for synthetic fabrics, I've used the liquid dye for tie-dyeing, I've used the powdered dye for ice dyeing and the shibori dye kit, so if you want to watch any of those techniques you can watch those in previous videos. Today I'm wearing the Vivienne Xiao Chen Nepheline blouse. It's a swing style blouse with lots of ease. It's got these beautiful deep pleat details on a 3/4 cuff sleeve, and you could use the ruffle option or you can take the ruffle off and raise the neck up to make a different shaped blouse. I've used my ice dyed fabric here, which is a cotton lawn. It's a real budget friendly fabric, so if you want to have a go at any dyeing, it's a good one to choose because you can use it to make tops, pyjamas, summer trousers, dresses, all of that kind of thing, because it's nice and light and it's not too crisp. Today I want to show you how to use Rit Colour Remover. It's got lots of different purposes, so I'm going to show you a tie-dye method with it today where you remove the dye from the fabric, and so rather than adding dye and resisting where you put your tight areas with elastic bands, in this case wherever you put the tight elastic bands or string, then that will keep the original colour. It's called reverse tie-dye and you'll get lots and lots of different variation. It's really unpredictable because it will depend what colours and what dyes make up your final colour. So today, unusually, I'm going to use black. I don't usually use black in my videos because it's really hard to show you on screen when I'm sewing, but for this technique it's perfect. You'll see that some blacks have a dye combination of lots of blues, some have lots of really dark inky greens, and the one today has quite a sort of brown tone to it. So you'll see as the colour comes out, you'll get a lighter colour, but you will never get it from black to white. You can use Rit Colour Remover for getting white garments back to white, so it's possible for that. So if you've done a wash and you've done one of those dreaded pink washes where things have gone a little bit pink, you can take your white items back to white by just removing that little bit of dye residue. If you've got a really dark colour, you won't get it back to white. You'll get a much lighter colour. You can use Rit Colour Remover to take the tone of a ready-made garment down so that you can dye again and over dye. So if you've got something dark like black and you want to take out that dark colour and use maybe a light brown or an orange or a colour that complements the colour that you get from your colour removed fabric, then you don't get it back to white, but you can then use your knowledge of the colour wheel to take that tone to another place. It takes out some of the dye, but not all of it. You can use Rit Remover as a tie-dye, which is what I'm doing today, and you can do it in a number of ways. You can either remove the dye from a whole piece of fabric, see what kind of patterns and tones that you get, and then cut out your garment. That way you can do a bit of pattern placement, you can find the best designs and print pattern that you like on your fabric, or you can dye a ready-made garment or a garment that you've sewn up already. The only problem with this is if you put lots of effort into making a garment of your own and then you use the Rit Remover and it doesn't turn out the way you wanted it to, then you've used a lot of time to make up the garment. I'm going to use that method today because I'm making an Amara vest from Tessuti Patterns. It's a really easy pattern and it's quick to make, so I know that even if this doesn't go quite as I want it to, I haven't put lots and lots of sewing investment time into the garment. I haven't dyed many stretch fabrics in this series, so today I have chosen a cotton sweater knit. It looks just like knitting. If you look really close up, you can see the purl stitches on one side and the knit stitches on the other. It's 100% cotton, so the colour remover will work really well with this fabric. As I said, I've chosen black today just because I want to show how much colour removal will happen with a black fabric, because I think that's probably the best thing to show you. I'm using a stovetop method because you can do this in a washing machine, but I think it's easier for you to see what's happening in top of a saucepan so that you can see what colours are coming out and how long it's taking. First of all, I'm going to do some tie-dye methods on my piece of fabric, and I want to keep some of the black because I don't know how much colour is going to come out of the black, but I want to keep some of the black so that I've still got a garment with integrity. I want to wear it with a white shirt afterwards, so that black and white monochrome look should look pretty good. Let's take a look at some of the techniques that I used just to get the preparation and all of the tie-dye pieces in the correct position. Here's my Amara vest made up. It's really simple. It's just the shoulder seams and the side seams. I've put the binding around the neck, so I want to see what happens to the binding and the label. And then I'm going to keep some of the edges unfinished so that I can put binding on afterwards. I want some darker patches across the arms and in the centre. So I'm going to accordion fold the whole top. And then I'm going to be concentrating on a design that is sort of a half and half. So I want one half to be darker than the other half. And I definitely want some different styles around the armhole. So I'm putting lots of elastic bands around here because I want to keep this a bit more black if I can. So the more elastic bands that I put on, the blacker that will be, because the colour remover won't be able to get to that black fabric the same. Any fabric that's exposed is going to have the colour removed, remember. I'm concentrating on a halfway mark, so I'm going to put an elastic band there. It's a bit trickier to get to because I've got to stretch the band over half of the top, but that's sort of my vague marker there for where I want to split my design. You can use string, you don't have to just use elastic bands, they'll give a different look. This is quite a thick cord. I'm going to spiral that around and tie it in place. I can add a few more elastic bands, and those will also help to hold the end of the string where I want it, so I can keep adding more bands to one half of the top. This side will be blacker and this side will be more bleached. I don't want this side to be completely bleached, so I'd just like to tie in some of the black for both sides. So I could either put it in the pan rolled up and I'd get a little bit of a different mottled effect, or I'm going to add some clips to get some really distinct and clear black areas on the one side of the top. These are just little stationary bulldog clips, but they're really strong, so they block out the colour remover. In this area here, the colour remover will be more free-flowing. Now that I've prepared the fabric, it's time to head inside so that you can see the whole process. I'm going to do a voiceover for the process part of this video because I'm wearing a mask because it's quite a smelly chemical product. It's a powder, so I don't want to inhale it, and I'm working in a really well ventilated area. You'll need to do that because you'll get quite a smell coming off the liquid when it's warm in the pan. Put on gloves and your mask, and then you're ready to start your process. Make sure you've got plenty of space to work and you've got your water in the pan warming up. The water needs to be the hottest temperature that your fabric can stand. And I've put in 3 scoops of Rit Remover. And I'm going to stir that around until it's dissolved and all mixed through. I don't want some of that to be sitting neat on the bottom of the pan. You need somewhere to put down your tools and have wet fabric, so you want to make sure you're not damaging your workspaces. The top is in water, that helps with the dye removal. So I'm going to squeeze out the excess water. And now I can put the garment into the pan. It needs to be a pan big enough for free flow of the liquid. I haven't put the ends in because remember, I want to keep those as black as possible. The first thing I notice is lots of blue dye coming out. So first of all, it's removing the blue dye from the fabric. If you leave it sat in the pan, it will get a mottled effect, so you will need to keep moving it around. I'm going to leave it for 20 to 30 minutes. After 10 minutes, you can see some more of the yellows have come out of that black dye mix. So the blues came out first, and now there's yellowy green colours. And you can see it's starting to bleach the fabric, and the fabric is turning a brown colour. The ends that I've kept dry and kept out of the liquid have remained black, so I'm keeping those up out of the way, but I still need to keep moving around the fabric and getting the colour remover into all of the creases. After the next 10 minutes, you can see more of the dye has come out of the fabric, and where it's been touching the heat on the bottom of the pan, it's come out a little bit more, so you might need to turn it over, flip it around. You can see there, look where the heat's been touching with the heat remover. So you've got to be careful to keep moving it, otherwise you'll get a saturation in one place. After 30 minutes, you can see I've got a lot more bleaching. I could go a little bit further. You could add more powder. It really does depend on what colour you would like to have and whether you're going to over dye it or not. I'm really pleased with those black ends. The pan handle is just holding those up out of the water. I'm going to leave it maybe 5 minutes more. Okay, I think this is a really nice brown colour and it will really complement black areas in the garment. So I'm going to give it a squeeze. It will be a bit hot, so just be careful. I have let it cool down a little bit in the water so that I could touch it. And I've got a landing place to put my fabric so that I can take it over to the sink. The fabric now needs several rinses in cold water so that you can remove any leftover colour removal. I'm trying to keep those ends black, so I'm just still keeping those out of the water because that cold water still is a dilution of the chemical. You can still see lots of dye coming out there, so you keep filling up with cold water. You swish it around and keep squeezing. It's hard when you've got a lot of elastic bands because you've made it really tight in that place. I want to see what those bulldog clips have done. They've really held the black in the fabric, so that's worked just as I expected. And I'll remove some of the elastic bands so I can see if I've kept some of that black colour on the edges. It's a really nice dark remaining there, and then the lighter colour where it's been bleached out. I'm going to keep rinsing that. Check my water, no, still colour removal happening there, so a couple more rinses. Once the water runs clear, then you're ready to wash your garment in the washing machine. I've set my washing machine on a mix wash, and just because I want to go steady, I've got it on 20 degrees, but I do want a spin so that I can dry the garment evenly and quickly. You should be seeing some clear water through your washing machine. That means you've done your rinse correctly. You can add a little detergent if you want to. It will just soften up the fabric. Because I've got a stretch knit, I'm drying my garment flat. Okay, this is the top now, it's dry. So you can see the effect that I was going for. I've got a half and half. This side was the one that only had a few little clips in, but I think those bulldog clips have been really effective. They've just tied this side of the top in with this side. Here you'll see it's very black on the edge because that was the bit that was dry and that was sticking up out of the pan. Same on the other side. So you've got a good balance between a little bit of black on both sides. The labels survived quite nicely, but you can see when this was all black and I had applied the binding, it has shown up a little bit of sewing inaccuracy there, where previously I couldn't see that my black was slightly off from the previous pass of putting the binding on. So I'm just going to unpick that section there and redo that. It's up to you. This has remained black. This is the stretch bias binding from Minerva, which I'll put in the description. So I could have put black around the sleeves and the hem, but it might be that you want to dye your garment first and then put all your trims on afterwards so they're not affected by the colour remover. The colour remover isn't bleach based, so this won't damage the fibres of your fabric or garment, and you'll be able to wash it and it won't disintegrate over time. I'll finish my top and I'll show you with me wearing it. Isn't this great? Absolutely wonderful, totally unique and original Amara vest. These little bits here are really inspired. They're the bit that really sort of makes it all look really coherent. I did add the binding to the colour removal, but it didn't take any of the colour out. I have added the rest for the hem and the sleeves. Obviously I left mine in for 30 minutes and a little bit of cooling down time, but if you add more Rit Colour Remover and you keep it in the water for longer, or if you're able to raise the temperature of the water depending on your base cloth, then you could probably get this down to a little bit more of a paler beige, and then you could over dye it after that. So then you choose a liquid dye that was harmonious with this creamy brown side of the colour wheel. So if I'd completely bleached this out, it would have been a beigey colour. I could have used orange, I could have used burgundy, I could have used browns, any of those rust tones. They would have had a really nice, just full straight dye if you didn't want to do any tie-dye. If you want to follow these instructions with a washing machine, they're on the back of the packet as well, and you can also head over to the Rit website. It will depend how much you're going to wash and wear your garment, so you can use a fixative as well. That will hold all the colours in place, but I've put mine through that washing cycle in the machine, so I've pretty much set my garment. If it fades a little bit more, I'm okay with that. It's an overgarment, and if those colours fade a little bit more, it will still be fine. You'll need to weigh up what kind of laundry you're going to do with your piece of clothing, or if you're going to wear and wash it a lot. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this little mini series. If there's anything else that you'd like to ask, then do leave a comment below. We'd love to hear if you've done any kind of successful dyeing, whether that's a solid dye or a tie dye or a particular technique that you like to use. You can leave that in comments, and you can also check out some of our previous videos. We'd love to see what you've been making, so do make a free account over at Minerva and share your makes there. You can share a photograph, you can share a description, you can tell us what went well, what didn't go well. It's really great to see lots of different Minerva makers on our website. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.